It's wonderful to speak to you, especially during Dyslexic Awareness Month, to talk about all your amazing successes. But most excitingly, you were the winner of our Faces of Dyslexia self-portrait competition this year. So congratulations again on that wonderful piece. It was so exciting to see your entry.
No, thank you so much. I loved it. I thought it was a great initiative, and all the works in there were fantastic. It was really great to see, and I think I resonated with a fair few of the works in there, and it was really great to chat with everyone after as well.
Yeah, it was wonderful to have everyone on, and we were really quite nervous about running an art competition because it's the first time we'd ever done it, and so to have so many people enter and the variety, it really resonated with me too. I wish I had a artistic bone in my body so I could join the competition. But you're up in Sydney at the moment in isolation because you are going to be playing cricket very shortly. How did you get involved at such a high level in cricket?
I first started playing cricket a few years ago, and it kind of came about as it was just as I was going into VCE study, and Mum said to me, you know, I really want you to keep up a sport while you're doing your study in that. So I went and picked cricket, and Mum reckons I picked it because it takes the whole day, so I didn't have to study as long.
We always have workarounds, don't we?
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it all started. I started playing with my dad down at Warrandyte, and then started to go to top line cricket, and it all kind of came about there from just training, and I fell in love with the game.
And so how have you managed travelling overseas and doing your cricket, and you've been studying art as well?
I think throughout school, I always played sport, and I always loved painting, and I think the two worked really well for me. I think although they seem like complete opposites, I think they're quite similar industries in a way. I treat them very similar. I get both. I can find ways around working in terms of they're not literacy based. They're not, they're very much a skill based thing. And I think for me, it's something I know how to work at, and I can achieve something through that. So I love them both, and they both coincide quite nicely. So we train. I'm part-time professional cricketer at the moment, so I can train, and then on my off time I can go paint.
Oh, it sounds like a nice combination.
Yeah, it's an ideal life.
And it's amazing that you're able to draw on your strengths to be able to do both. So to have one, people are lucky, but to get to have two is extraordinary. So congratulations. So what was school like for you growing up?
I struggled a little bit with school at first, until I found a way to make it work for me. I got a little bit lost at times in how to approach things and how to do things, because it's very much mainstream, but I found I was able to find different tools and things to work around it and still achieve what I wanted to, because I think I'm very, I think a lot of people are very capable of achieving what everyone else does. It's just done in a slightly different way. So I found I did a lot of study with my nan after school, and things took a little bit longer to get, and she would scribe for me or read out things for me. So then I could still understand, because I found it quite frustrating at school where I knew the content, and I just didn't know how to articulate it or put it down on paper. And for me, I didn't want people to think I was silly, because I knew I was very capable and of achieving the task. It just had to be done in a slightly different way. I think I found also some teachers that were fabulous that really helped me out along the way. And I think once you find a support network and you find a way in which you can achieve things, it's not the end of the world. It opens up so many other doors and opportunities as well, that I think it works out really well. But before that happens, it is a little bit tricky, but there is ways around things.
That's amazing that your grandmother was able to read to you and scribe. That take a lot of time, putting in that extra work?
Yeah, it's not easy. And also you've got to have someone willing to do that. And I'm very grateful for that. I think also someone that has an understanding and understands that I've got to do things slightly differently and got to be very patient, that's for sure. But I found, yeah, being able to have someone scribe and read things out and take the time with me and know that I did understand it. It's just I had to learn it in a slightly different way. And having people around you, like my family, friends that knew I got it, was really helpful
I
and
couldn't have.
didn't write me off, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes that happens, doesn't it? I was running
Yeah.
a training session today with the secondary school, and we were talking about, not giving up on your students and just giving them that bit of extra time and support. And I definitely wouldn't have got through school or uni without my mum. So it's normally someone in our family that jumps in to give us that extra hand. So
Yeah.
that's great. And so do you have other family members that have dyslexia that you know of?
Yeah, my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah, so, and it kind of worked out when I was doing testing as a young kid and dad was alongside me. And one of the tests was a piece of paper and it had all these lines, and the man asked me, "Oh, what do you see?" And I said, "Oh, I see lots of rivers and mountains." And then he asked Mum, "Oh, what do you see?" And Mum goes, "A page of words." And then dad goes, "Oh no, I see the rivers and I see that." And it was just, yeah, so seeing the two perspectives was really interesting. And then I think he realized he understood what I was talking about, and that's kind of how he worked out as well.
Yeah, my dad, we think it comes from him, and he realised at our first gala that he was dyslexic.
Oh, really?
And he was, I think, 64 or 65 at the time, because we'd always talked about it, but that didn't register with him until he went to our first gala and listened to other people speak about it. He went, "Oh, that's me too." And then he wanted us all tattooed because my brother has it as well. We're like, "No, Dad, we don't need to do that." So, growing up, so you were diagnosed young. So did that mean that you got to have early intervention and
Yeah,
support?
I think I was really lucky. Mum kind of picked up on things from a younger age, and I got a little bit lost in the middle period of school when I was transitioning from primary school to high school. The message doesn't always carry through, and it's a little bit difficult to start again. But once I got into my older years, there was a curriculum support program at the school I went to, and the people that were working in that were incredible, and a few English teachers and that really helped out through that. So I think I was very lucky in the sense that there was that program, and I understand that not as many people do get that opportunity, but I think programs like that are really important within schools. So I had someone just sit next to me in English class, and although sometimes it is a bit difficult because you are the kid that's got someone with you, but in the end, everyone gets used to it, and it becomes like no one's there. It was fine. But yeah, I was really lucky in that sense to have that.
It's so refreshing to hear you had that experience, because we went to the same school and I'm much older than you. And back then there was no support for students.
Yeah.
So it's really good to hear the type of support that's evolved in secondary schools in particular to help students. So did you ever feel self-conscious, or did you ever feel like your self-esteem was impacted because of your dyslexia?
Yeah, definitely. I think you do struggle. Like it's not easy always having to be the one that has to do an exam outside of the big hall and have a scribe and um, have to do the extra English class and that kind of thing. But I think at the end of the day, I was very lucky in the group of friends that I had and the support networks that I had around me. And once I knew I could, I think for me, I found it difficult when people didn't think I could do it or didn't believe that I was smart enough. Um, that was when I struggled probably the most. But I think um, once I was able to show that I can get those results like everyone else, and just by doing things slightly different, by having a scribe, it was like difference of like 70% for me. So I think that was a real confidence booster for me, and the rest as I got older, it got easier, but it's definitely not easy in the beginning.
No, it's not. And have you found that transitioning into adulthood and working, and you're living away from home, which can be really challenging for anyone, let alone if you've got something like dyslexia. So did you find that transition was difficult, or did you feel that you'd become more self-confident in yourself to be able to do that?
I think the two industries I've kind of found myself in after school embrace it, and it gives me a different angle and perspective on life. And so, for example, sport, I look at things slightly different to others, and same with art. The way in which I view something is different again. So it's actually embraced, and people like new like interpretations on things. There is little things like I even found the other day we're doing a drill, and I don't know my left and right, and the coach had to go left, and I've gone right, and just having to, he adapted the drill perfectly and had the colors blue and yellow, so I could see there's blue, there's yellow, instead of left, right. It's very slight changes that help me out, and I found that both industries are really willing to make those changes, and the group of the girls around here are really accepting, and it's worked out well. But I am lucky in the two industries I'm in. I think there is other industries that are a bit harder and a bit more structured, and not as willing to change. So it is difficult for people, but I think out of school there's so many options, and I didn't always see that at school. I just saw, oh, I can't read, I can't do it, or I can't do further study and things like that, where there's so many pathways for people and opportunities, and just keeping an open mind when sometimes it's not always easy to, but yeah, it does work out.
It does work out, you're right. Before we move on, I have to ask, did you have to do cadets at school?
Yeah, I did. I didn't last very long.
I used to get pulled out in front of everyone because I would go opposite when we had to do lefts and rights.
That's me.
Oh, when you said that, it made me laugh, but it also brought back trauma. I hate ironing clothes, and I hate polishing my shoes after doing cadets.
Yeah, I didn't last very long in cadets.
Did you struggle with the navigation of orientating yourself?
Yeah, I still can't do that.
So how did you go when you travelled then? Were you okay living in a different country and having to orientate and manage things?
Yeah, I think you just do things differently. And sometimes, like, being by yourself, you learn and you don't rely on others. And sometimes I used to fall in a trap a little bit on relying on others, but being away in that, I've learned to do things my way, and it works. Yeah, it takes a lot longer, so I might not always get places on time, but yeah, it works out.
I can't live without Google Maps, even though it still doesn't get me exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
But it's close. But it's allowing that extra time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's allowing extra time for nearly everything we do, really.
Yeah, definitely.
And so with your art, you're studying as well at uni.
Yep.
So are there strategies you put in place? Did you disclose you had dyslexia there so you'd get extra support?
I haven't, but that's because I've got the support of my nan, who helps me out with my essays and stuff like that. So I'm still very lucky to have still that support network. I know a few do, but also the course I have picked, a third of it is a written component. So the lectures are recorded, and I'll go to the lecture in the hall, but then I'll come home and I'll watch it again with my nan. So things like that, it takes an extra 3 hours every week or things like that, but it works out, and I think it's worth it, knowing that I can achieve it and still keep up with everyone else. Yeah.
So your nan's getting an art degree as well as you?
Yes, definitely.
I always say my mum's got 3 degrees after supporting me through all of mine as well.
Yep, that's
Sounds like your nan's an amazing lady.
Yeah, no, she is. She's fantastic.
And so what would you say to young people who might be struggling either at school or looking at, finishing BCE and they're about to go into the workplace? What advice would you give them around building that resilience that you sound like you've got a lot of, and that self-awareness and self-confidence?
I think looking at the positives. I think sometimes it's very hard to see what you can't do. And I know it sounds, I don't mean it to be lectury, but it's like sometimes looking at all the positives it gives you. So I think I can see things slightly different to others, and embracing that and finding there's so many different avenues and pathways, which at school sometimes it's hard to see because you're taught one way, you're expected to learn one way, and it hasn't got much room. The school system, I think it's getting better, but still, again, it is very much you've got to do things this way, where I think once you finish school, people are more open to doing things differently, and you've got more freedom, and to embrace the positives that it can bring. Yeah.
Finding those positives, isn't it? And seeing where your strengths lie, like you have, which has then opened up your world. I mean, becoming a professional cricketer is such an amazing achievement, as well as all your beautiful art.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been very lucky, and yeah, I love it.
I would never have thought that cricket and art would complement each other. So I've learned a lot this evening.
Yeah.
It's not a sport that I would normally follow, but now we'll have to look out for you when you're on the big screen.
Yeah, we've got to go for the Melbourne Stars.
Yes, actually they supported our gala the year before last, which was fantastic. Yeah. We've got quite a few guests on the line. I'll just check if there's any questions or comments. But if there's anybody that wanted to ask Sophie a question, now is your time. That's what this episode is about, to learn a bit about our guests, but also the opportunity to ask any questions or have any comments. I will just check Facebook and see. We've had a few people watching on Facebook. Looks like you're off the hook, Sophie, with no questions tonight. Can I ask you, what does Dyslexic Awareness Month mean to you?
I think hopefully what comes of it is that people realise they're not alone, and there is so many opportunities and gateways. And I think hopefully also people that don't have dyslexia have a better understanding. People aren't as closed off to learning new ideas and ways to go about things, and hopefully the support networks for people, like I was very lucky to have a great support network, but some people aren't always that lucky. So hopefully it does bring more awareness and within the school system as well, and being a bit more adaptable, I think, and instead of the old ways, I guess, the traditional way of learning, which, yeah, I think everyone can learn both. I can learn things from learning how people go about things, but also people can learn from how we go about things as well.
Yes, I think that's a really important point, people learning how we go about things, and that awareness and acceptance of the differences. And I think that, it's really exciting to see where you go in your career, because we don't have a lot of high-profile females out there talking about dyslexia. So it'll be great to be able to showcase your work and to have you as a voice, if you choose to be, of helping us raise that awareness, because it's so important, and we really lack the female voice, I think, especially in Australia. So I'm so excited that you came on board. I think some people are saying hello. I'll just check the chat. I think we've got some people just saying hello to you.
Oh, hello.
If there's anyone that's got a question, you can also put it in the chat as well. So I've just said very inspirational and behind your cricket and artwork. Oh, what's some of the inspiration behind your cricket and artwork? Sorry, that's my dyslexia misreading things.
I do a lot of work about cricket, like in my artworks, and I see a lot of the in meetings, cricket meetings and things like that about stats, and I see a list of stats and scoreboards, and I see like wagon wheels and all that like data that comes from cricket, and I just see so many paintings. Like in the meetings I get a bit distracted with all the different shapes and lines and whiteboard markers and stuff like that, and that gives me a lot of inspiration, and I go and I make paintings off them. And yeah, like it just seems things slightly different. And even with learning my cricket fields and stuff, I draw them all out before a game, so I can see them and have a better understanding, so I don't go right instead of left on the ground. But yeah, I think yeah, there's the two worlds all coincide for me.
That was a fantastic question. Thank you for asking that. And I can visualize you doodling in your meetings. Is that how do you end up finding that you're distracted by drawing?
Yeah, I do, very much so.
Well, it sounds like they're a fantastic organisation to work for with the adaptations that they've made for you.
Oh, definitely. And I think, yeah, same at art school. They're both very accepting industries and adaptable, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially as we move into this new world that we've landed in with COVID and all the changes we've had to make. I think it's the organisations that are able to quickly adapt that will survive, and it's the ones that need to adapt so that then we can show our full potential in the workplace, which you are doing, which is wonderful to see. So I don't think we've got any other questions. Are there any? Oh, here we go. We've got a few more coming through. Who are your heroes?
Ooh,
good question.
Yeah, that's I'm really inspired by the people around me. In terms of my lecturers at uni, I look up to them like crazy. I think seeing how they've gone about how they've developed work, how they've developed their practice, worked really hard. Same with my teammates here. I'm playing among some of the best cricketers in the world and get to meet all these different people, test cricketers, and all of them have given me so much time and have been so accepting, and I look up to every single one of them. I think also I look up to both my parents. I think they've both worked really hard, and I think that's where I've learned that, not to give up, and seeing them work hard and achieve things really wants me. I would like to do the same. Yeah. So I don't have like super famous people but yeah, my friends and family I really look up to, and they're my heroes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful answer, and it's normally the ordinary people around us that are our biggest heroes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will just check. Would anyone else like to put any questions in the chat box before we wrap this session up with Sophie, who's been absolutely inspirational to talk to and has now made me become a cricket fan. It doesn't look like it. I'll just check Facebook. Before we wrap up, Sophie, is there anything else you'd like to say around Dyslexic Awareness Month, or anything that you think might help our young viewers that are listening, or any of our viewers that are listening tonight?
I'd just like to also say thank you to you. I think it's fantastic what you've been doing, and I really hope that people get around it, and I can see so much change, and it's incredible. I think it's going in the right direction. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think you're right. It is going in the right direction, and the more opportunities we get to do things like this, where we're speaking with fellow dyslexics, that awareness raising is increasing all the time. So I just really appreciate you coming on the show. I was so excited when you submitted your artwork. I think I teared up because I think I'd been constantly tagging you on Instagram. So I really appreciate your support with that project, because it was really meaningful having you and all the others participate. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best up in Sydney and that you manage the next couple of days or weeks in isolation okay.
Yeah,
And we look forward to watching your journey and speaking to you again in the future. So stay well and stay safe. And thank you everybody that's come online tonight. It's been a wonderful audience. It's one of our biggest. So thank you, Sophie, for bringing in such a big audience. And we hope you all stay well and stay safe and look after yourselves, especially during these times. So thank you all for coming this evening.